Hi, y'all. My name is Bailey. I'm the host of this podcast called Hey Dad, Can You Talk? And this is just a conversation between me and my dad, Toby, where I call him about things that I'm struggling with, like parenting, marriage, my mental wellness. I'm just feeling overwhelmed. And so we thought we would record it so that you guys could listen in too. So let's go ahead and call my dad. Hey, Dad, how are you?
I'm doing good, B. How are you?
I'm good. I am excited to talk to you. And it is going to be November when this releases. And so I thought I would wear a turtleneck to be in the spirit of getting closer to Christmas.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, is that why you're dressed like a polar bear today?
Yeah, but I can't lie. I have on spandex shorts on the bottom. So party on the top or party on the bottom, whatever you want to call it. Also, just because, I like to exploit myself on these podcasts.
Wait. You like to exploit yourself? What does that mean?
Well, what I was going to say is I've been struggling with some breakouts on my face. And because it's that, that special time. And and the other day I was in the car with Esther and I said, Esther, I'm breaking out all over my face. And she was like, or my face is breaking out. That's what I said. She goes, oh no, Mommy, how are you going to put it back together?
Oh, sweet Esther.
And I was like, oh, wait, let me explain this term to you. So anyways, that was kind of funny. So that's what I meant by exploit, because now everyone's going to be looking too close at this video. Maybe that was the wrong choice of words.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure if you go get you a dictionary, that's not the word you want to use, but it's okay. Expose is the word you want.
There you go.
Yeah,
okay.
There you go.
When Ross is reviewing this podcast for us, he is going to roll his eyes. That's my brother, who uses very large words that I don't know what they mean. So,
which is why he uses very big words.
Exactly. So anyways, well, you got anything fun to share with us this morning?
No, I'm not really. Mom and I are in the middle of a busy travel season. So we're fighting a little fatigue, but really excited about all we're getting to do. So it's always fun to be home. This is the longest we've been, home in a few weeks. So it's good to sleep in your own bed for a few nights.
Yeah. And I bet we have lots of new listeners since you've been traveling the world and doing lots of parent workshops. So shout out to those people if this is one of your first times to join us. So anyways, that's exciting. Welcome to the pod, as I like to say, and Dad likes to make fun of me.
Welcome to the pod.
So what I want to just kind of chat with you today about, we're getting near the holiday season of Thanksgiving and Christmas, and I have already been feeling the waters rising to my chin of like, how do I get everything done that I need to get done between working and being a mom and supporting my husband who's busy and making sure we're eating healthy things and groceries and laundry and everything, And I think as the holiday seasons get closer, it just continues to get harder and harder to do. And so I feel like I have a hard time taking care of myself. Like I put myself on the back burner a lot of times whenever the season's coming, And I also sometimes feel like I'm just making it every day, So I wanted to ask you if you've ever been in seasons like that, because I know that you can tend to get to overexert yourself at times too. What are some tips you have for people that are just like feeling like their head is barely above water on how we can like make sure we're proactive in our mental health and just like not just getting through life? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do know what you mean. We have been there. I think everybody's been there. I think first you have to keep reminding yourself that it is just a season, and different seasons require different levels of energy. And so I know this may not, come in incredibly handy this year, but I think one of the things is as you look ahead and know that a season is going to require a lot of energy, then you're going to have to conserve energy before you get to that season. a lot of times what happens is people come into seasons and they're already depleted. So if you do everything the same way you've done it, knowing that a season is coming, you shouldn't be surprised that when you're especially depleted earlier in a season like this. So that's one thing I think as you look ahead. The other thing is you kind of, I think, have to like get rid of this perception of what a perfect holiday season is like. It's not a Hallmark movie. It's not some of the TV specials that you see or what you see on Instagram or social media. That's not what the season is. That's a glossed over picture of what the season is for most families. And I think a lot of times the stress comes because we have unrealistic expectations about how the season should go. And then thirdly, I would say this, and I mean, I know you've heard this 1,000 times, but like the greatest gift you can give your family in a holiday season or any other season is a healthy you. And so you've got to prioritize making sure that you're taking care of yourself. Something's going to drop, Bailey. That's the reality. Is in holiday season, you're going to make a plan and something's not going to go according to plan. Something's going to drop. Something that you planned on doing isn't going to happen. You just got to make sure that you're choosing the things that you're not going to do so that you can do the things that matter the most.
Yeah, no, I think that's good. So as you're talking, I'm thinking like practically speaking, maybe, as a family, you decide what's going to be your day off, like your rest day for your whole family instead of trying to fit everything in. Cause I don't know, a lot of, there's parties and class parties and birthday parties and games and all these things that are going on that I know for me, I really am not good at saying no to those things. Cause I don't, I want, I like that my kids are involved and they have, they have stuff going on with their friends, but like we have to plan out days that, we can rest as adults, but also that our kids, we need to help them rest. Is that one thing that would that be helpful, you think?
Oh yeah, I think that's a part of making a plan. I think a lot of times, let's be honest, it's the fact that we're not really intentional. We're pretty reactive that gets us in trouble. Instead of before we get in the middle of the fray saying, "Hey, here's who we want to be as we come out of this holiday season." Not here's what we want to do, which is what most people talk about, but who do we want to be? We want to be a family with joy. We want to be a family that has some peace. We want to keep our sanity, whatever that is. And then you kind of plan backwards from that. And so you prioritize based upon what you want to be during that season. And for lots of you, I think I just watch it. I'm not the grumpy old man, but I watch it. And I watch everybody thinking they have to do everything. And then they wonder why they're so glad the season's over, as opposed to say, no, we want to have a healthy, sustainable pace for all of us during the season. And so here's going to be some intentional breaks that we decide before those opportunities arise that we're going to take breaks here. And so we give ourselves permission to say no because we've already said yes to something that's more important to us.
Yeah, no, that's good. How do you feel like we set realistic expectations for the moments that we create for our kids? So for example, I know we've talked about this with Michelle, my bestie / sister-in-law, Ross's wife. And, as moms, we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to like want to create memories for our kids this time of year, and social media makes that harder because we see what everyone else is doing and it, comparison starts running rampant. But like, how would you say realistically, like it's good, I think, to have intentional memory making times with your kids. How do you do that in a way that feels doable?
Yeah. Excuse me. I'm sorry. I think again, you choose quality over quantity. I'm not against, I mean, you want to have great memory making moments. You just can't have all of them. You can't, you can't do everything you see on TikTok. Even no matter how great an idea it is, you have to say, hey, here's how many moments memory moments we're going to try to create. We're going to lower expectations that they're all going to go according to plan. And again, you can have them. You just can't have all of them. You can have anything you want. You just can't have everything you want and come
Mhm.
out with your sanity at the end of a season.
Mhm. Yeah. And I mean, I think through, for me, sometimes seeing other people's stuff can be inspiring, but then sometimes it can drain me because it gets my mind thinking of all the things I haven't done with my kids. And so, a healthy boundary for me sometimes during this time of the year is just not being on social media, as much. Like maybe I'm taking more breaks. And I think knowing yourself and really assessing, what your triggers are, what your little red lights on your dashboard, as we talk about a lot, are, um, before the season starts is probably helpful too. So, oh, I know that this time of year it's not good for me to do XYZ.
Yeah, I think it goes back to, pre-planning, if you
Mhm.
will. And once you and your mate or significant other have said, hey, here's how many of those kind of things we're going to do, then you can be much more selective as opposed to just kind of mindlessly scrolling through social media and going, oh, let's do that. Let's do that. Let's do that.
Mhm.
Everything can't be a great idea.
Mhm. Yeah, and I mean, I think through my family, Grant and I feel like right now are just like two ships passing in the wind because he's working, I'm trying to get the kids all their stuff. The only time I feel like we get to talk is after bedtime, but we're both dead dog tired, and so honestly, even pre-planning feels stressful to me. I don't know. But, it goes back to what we were just talking about. If we plan in rest time to our weeks, then that gives us more space, therefore, to even plan and then become more productive. So it's like just this cycle that ultimately comes back to we have to give ourselves some margin days. I feel like is
Yeah,
what I'm coming
your
to.
schedule right now, because I know the schedule with Grant in the middle of football season and your kids in the middle of, everything there in the middle of. I mean, Saturday's your day, right? And
Mhm.
so you guys, I mean, my advice to you, if you were asking me, would be then on Saturday, you're going to have to take an hour or two. And it seems counterintuitive, but you and Grant are going to have to take that time together.
Mhm.
If you are two ships passing, not in the wind, but in the night, I
Oh,
might go
sorry.
back to. Uh, but if that's what you are, then it's like, okay, we've got to build in an hour or two of connection time
Mhm. Yeah.
when we're not tired, so it
Mhm.
doesn't end up becoming, a battle, and have some of those conversations.
Mhm. Yeah. So a few things is I'm thinking through, you talk a lot recently about 5 minutes a day, and the importance of just like starting with 5 minutes a day. And I feel like, and I want you to expand on that a little bit, but I feel like, you talk about that when it comes to us being intentional, with our kids and doing things to help get us in a healthy mental wellness, headspace and everything, like, and spiritually. But like, I feel like that could apply here for your mental health, your spiritual health, your physical health. Like, it can feel so daunting to me when I'm like, okay, I need to work out today. I need to read my Bible today. I need to talk to my kids about who they are in Christ. I need to make the grocery list, and like it, and it just feels like this big thing. But if I were to like narrow it down to 5 minutes, even for each item, then that feels a little more doable. Will you share like your heart on that and kind of how that could relate in this season?
Well, I mean, the thing that you've heard me talk about, this 5 minute a day principle, really relates to everything.
Mm-hmm.
And it really relates to, I think, our human tendency to, when we're presented with a concept, I'm going to stay emotionally healthy. My family's going to serve during the holidays. Pick any concept. That a lot of times what we do is we go to an extreme and we think about an extreme like, oh, that means I've got to spend 3 hours a day, or that means we've got to cancel everything we're doing and go serve somewhere. And when we think about an extreme that we can't do, then we end up doing nothing.
Mm-hmm.
That's my contention. And so studies show that small things done consistently over time produce great results. And so, my encouragement, whether it is your child's mental wellness, your own mental wellness, whatever it is, that we would consider the possibilities that 5 minutes a day, done 5 days a week, over time would bring radical change. The problem is it doesn't happen fast enough for most of us. I mean, we want it in a moment, we want it in an instant. And I always say change takes longer than we thought, and it's harder than we thought. And so we have to commit to the principle of constant development. And I think for most of us, we can get our minds around 5 minutes a day, and we'll end up doing something which over time will kind of compound itself into something big. And so I think that's true about your own mental wellness. I think it's true about the mental wellness of your kids. I think it's true about anything really, that 5 minutes a day over time is a ton better than no minutes a day over time.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to see progress. I believe it to be true.
Yeah, no, I think so because, when I'm like, okay, I need to have some time for myself to recharge, because this is a busy time and I'm taking on a lot more responsibility. To like carve out an hour feels, I don't have an hour, like that feels, okay, well then I'm just not going to give myself any time. But if I tell myself, well, I'm going to take 5 minutes in my room to, I don't know, do something that fills me up, then at least I feel like honestly, then I'll do it and I'll start it and maybe I'll spend a little more time than I even plan on doing. But 5 minutes feels like, okay, I could at least do that. So I've been thinking about that concept a lot for myself because I don't know. And maybe that's just how I'm hardwired is I just like look at how long it would take me and think that, like you just said, well, I can't do that. So I'm just not going to do anything. And it's just like changing our brain to think about little changes. So I appreciate you mentioning that so often because we need that reminder for sure.
And that principle works in so many aspects of your life. It's adaptable. Think about like your physical health, your diet. Some people say, well, I need to lose weight. And so I'm going to just eat, cardboard, drink water or whatever. Well, that's not sustainable. But saying I'm going to cut this one small thing out of my diet for, a season that is manageable over time as you kind of conquer that desire, then you go to the next thing. And over time, not in, 2 days, but in 2 months, you find yourself beginning to reach some of your goals.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can apply this to any aspect of your life. And I think it's a great thing for us to be teaching our kids
Oh,
that,
yeah.
in an instantaneous society, where everything is instant information, instant gratification, instant delivery, that teaching them the value of change and goals happening over time is something that's going to serve them well in life.
Mm-hmm. Mm. Yeah. Just so many things come into mind that of how this could apply. Gideon is doing AR points, which is where you read books and you earn points, and then they reward you at school, and so they have a big goal every 9 weeks, and so he's very goal driven, and so
Yes, he is.
yeah. So like he just had his first 9 weeks. He reached 25 points and then it starts over for the second 9 weeks. And so he just was like stressing out because he's like, how am I going to do this again? Because he just worked so hard and like he wants the party so bad and all this stuff. And he wants to like get all the points as fast as he can so that he's like, done with it. And I sat down with him and I'm like, look, you have X amount of days, till you're the end of the semester. Let's divide up how many points you need. And look, you really only need to take, read one book every weekday, or whatever it was. And it like made it so much more doable for him as far as like, oh, if I just like do this small thing, then I'll achieve my goal. And so it makes me think of that very same concept, like that we can do that with lots of things. So, um, and how cool that I could have, if I would have been smart, taught the 5 minute a day principle to Gideon when I was teaching him about AR points, but I didn't. So I'll just go back and do that later. So,
Well, but you are really. I mean,
mm-hmm.
you are without saying it. Now you can go back and when he reaches that goal, you can illustrate it. Go, look what happened, and it was 5 minutes a day. Really, what it's bigger what you're teaching Gideon in this season. You're teaching him the process of what the Bible calls sanctification, which
Mm,
is just a church word for becoming more like Jesus.
mhm,
And it happens over time. It's not an instantaneous kind of thing. And so you're teaching him like the value of the journey, I think is
mm,
a good way of saying it, as opposed to being so caught up in the destination. Think about how many things in life you look back at and say, man, if I would just enjoy that journey instead of being in such a hurry to get there. That's a part of what the abundant life is. It's, I think it's Jesus teaching us, hey, man, enjoy the journey a little bit.
mm.
Enjoy the steps along the way and enjoy the process of becoming as much as you enjoy the state of being, because that's really what life is. It's the process of becoming.
Mm. That's good. That's good because I think during the season, I can so easily, like when it comes to you're talking about connecting with God and growing in your spiritual walk and the sanctification. Like I can put that push. I think one of the first things I push to the side, honestly, is like my time in His Word because I view it as I think I should be spending 30 minutes to an hour of like really studying and like quiet time with God. And this season, that's just not doable. And I feel like a lot of parents will be able to relate to that. And so then I just end up not doing it, and then therefore I wonder why my cup is empty, because I'm not
Mm-hmm.
getting filled up. And so I think about, the example that you and mom have set for me. Every day that I'm with you guys, if y'all are in town and I go in the mornings, y'all are like watching the Bible app, and you watch the little video and you read the scripture. And I think like that's a habit you guys, I'm not saying you don't study further later, but that's a habit you created that's like a very short way of getting into God's word and listening to some truths, that I think is really doable for a parent who's in a busy season. Like I'm just going to make this my goal, and it may not feel like this like long deep study time, but at least I'm connecting with God. And I think about the 40 I am journal that you created through Goby, and how that could also be an easy 5 minutes a day where we just sit down and read 140 I am and think about the one truth that God says about us for the day. And so I think I'm just talking this out because I feel like that's something that I should be intentional about this season, in a way I can challenge myself that may probably a lot of other parents could need to or could be doing as well as it gets busy. Short little things to make sure they're connected to their source.
Yeah, most of the things that we've designed at Goby have been, almost everything is around this 5 minute a day concept. Your mom and I, you talk about us in the morning. Well, we know that life happens. So if we get that 5 minutes a day in first thing in the morning, then when life happens, then the sky isn't falling.
Mm-hmm.
We at least got that time in. And so whether it's a 40 IM journal, whether it's joining us on Team Goby, where you have the little video from me that's like 2 minutes with your child, it's all designed around, hey, let's get this in to make sure that we're getting the bite-sized pieces. It doesn't mean we don't have goals for longer times and longer discussions, but here's what I'm finding, that when the families that take the 40 IMs and the little videos that I've made for them, the more they do that little 2 to 5 minute thing in the morning, the more it comes up in other conversations during the day and the week.
Mm-hmm.
And so again, it's the power of compounding.
Mm-hmm.
Small things over time lead to bigger results because they lead to different discussion points. They're a reference point for someone to go back to. I'm big right now. I'm spending a lot of time not only thinking about change, but thinking about gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you build a culture of gratitude into kids in a culture that isn't naturally grateful? Well, how do you change, Bailey? I mean, you have to ask yourself this question. Am I focused more on what I don't have in this season than what I do? And because I think that's how the culture, the DNA in your family get started. And so instead of wasting your time feeling shameful or condemned, because that is the case, then you're going to take the first 5 minutes of a day and be grateful intentionally, even when you don't feel like it. And over time, that begins to change the culture. I mean, I could go on and on. I believe in the concept. I believe it works. I'm committed to building tools that help people that begin this process to experience these small victories and keep going, because I know it's possible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I love that you are helping so many families walk through busy seasons and hard seasons and making it, really attainable and practical. So thank you for doing that, because I know it's taken up. You've gone through a lot in your life as to learn these things, and then also you're traveling and sacrificing a lot to share them with others. So thanks, Dad.
Oh, thank you, baby. It's pretty fulfilling, to get a chance to, I guess, pay it forward.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of this is learned out of the school of hard knocks and, not doing it for
Mm-hmm.
seasons
Mm-hmm.
and, experiencing what comes with that. And so when you are able to share that with others, you're kind of able to leverage all of that for good, which I think is the whole point. So it's a lot of fun. It's very fulfilling.
Well, if you guys want to learn more about Team Goby, there's always a link in the show notes, and that is an amazing new resource that our ministry that Dad and my mom started, called Goby, just released. And I think you should check it out, because it's just such a good and practical tool for families to support their kids, young and old, and themselves. And because I don't know, I get busy. I just want someone to tell me what to do, and that's basically what Team Goby is. So yeah, I feel like it will definitely help you. Everybody needs to be a part. So link in the bio.
Let's see. We've had the pod, show notes, link in the bio. You got any other?
Passing in the wind, which was not the right term. It's fine, guys. It's fine.
Did you say passing wind? Oh no,
No,
passing
I
in the wind.
didn't.
It's ships passing in the night before you're exploited. I mean, come on, right now. Ross, you're gonna have a lot of fun with this one.
We're gonna need some bloopers. It's fine, but none of this is gonna be taken out, because this is real life. So welcome to the world of my family and what they get to deal with me. It's fine. Well, Dad, love you. Hope you have a safe trip this weekend. I know you're traveling. And yeah, just love you.
Love you too, baby girl. Hope y'all have a great day. Hug my grandkids for me, and I'm looking forward to seeing y'all soon.
Yes, love you.
Love you.
Thank y'all for listening to this week's episode of our Hey Dad, Can You Talk podcast. We're so glad you were here. If you loved it, be sure to share with a friend. You can subscribe to us on YouTube or anywhere you listen to your favorite podcasts. And we will be back with a new episode, not next week, but the next week. Also, anything we talked about in the episode, downloadables, free tools, anything like that, it will always be in our show notes. So make sure you check out the description of the episode. We can't wait to be back with you so soon. Talk to you later. Bye.